is collected for recycling. So sanitation should really be a priority, which is why we need to recycle. But how do we turn this waste resource into a financial resource? How do we turn trash into cash? This morning, there's someone in the studio who has been able to master the craft very well. And because of this mastering of craft, he's met kings, literally. Innovator, artist, environmentalist, technology, entrepreneurship center, manager of Academic City University College, Makafui Awuku. Makafui, good morning.
Good morning.
It's so great to see you. And I'm so impressed by everything that you've managed to achieve. I'm sure that when you started this, you did not expect that it would go this far. How did it all start?
And good morning to your viewers also. So in 2017, I had returned from Nigeria, where I was for 5 weeks through a President Obama's Young African Leaders Training Program. The focus of the training was on the Sustainable Development Goals. And when I came back, I wanted to do something for my community. So I look at the 17 goals. And then goal 6, which is on sanitation and water. And goal 11 on sustainable communities and cities. Goal 13, goal 14 relating to climate change and the life on land. The goals that were staring at me. So I was like, plastic pollution is one of the bigger problems we have. And I was thinking, what can I do? So I was looking within myself. What can I do to change the situation? It was in November, so I was like, well, it's 2 months to Christmas. So how about if I try designing a Christmas tree and using the bottles to make the tree? So I sketched the tree, and then I did some experiment to figure out what I can use to perforate holes in the bottles. I figured that one out, and then I got a welder to make a frame of a Christmas tree for me. So I used ropes to weave the bottles around the frame, and the day before Christmas I had finished weaving the tree. I went to Medina Market, bought lights, bought decorations, and then I put it on the tree. And I used to live in a compound house in a Zongo community in Medina, so I put it in front of the house, and I put lights in them, and then I went from home to home to tell that, oh, I have a Christmas event in front of my house. I'm a poet, I'm an artist, so I was like, there'll be music, there'll be poetry, there'll be food. So you just come with your kids. So people actually came out of their homes under the tree. And one thing that fascinated people was the fact that it was made from plastic waste and plastic bottles. And people who were not even Christians appreciated the whole effort. And I thought, well, what else can I do to change people's behavior? Because after that installation, when people see me, they'll say, oh, I have plastic waste. Can I bring it to you? So it changed people's behavior immediately. They stopped throwing away their plastics away and they wanted to give it to me. So I started thinking of what else I can create from waste. So in 2018, I registered it as a business. I didn't plan to start a business, but the Christmas tree went viral when I shared it on social media, and that was how it started.
And since then, you've done, listen, let's show people how far this has come. Because after he did that installation in front of his house, it's gone beyond Medina, and it's now become an iconic site in Accra during the Christmas festivities. And we'll see the trees. These are made from plastic waste. So what you see, where was this installed?
So this is installed in Adenta, in front of my facility around the Roman Catholic Church. If anybody uses that road a lot, they will see it. But last December, what we did was that we were able to do 15 installations in 3 regions. In the Ashanti region, we had 3 of the trees. We had one in Keta in the Volta region, and then we had a lot in the Greater Accra region. So we did a lot last December also.
It's so fascinating. We are looking at all these Christmas decorations, and we are thinking these are actually stuff that are used once and discarded, the original Christmas decorations. So to think that we're actually recycling bottles and using them for that purpose is such an iconic. But what has been the response? You mentioned that a lot of people turned up even for that first event, and now a lot more people are willing to give you their waste. Is that what you want to achieve? Is this it?
So largely the goal I want to achieve with the project I do, which is called Macintosh Africa, is to influence people's behavior along a sustainability path. And essentially is to empower people to know what to do with waste when they have it. The bigger challenge we have is that a lot of people don't realize the situation we have with our landfills. Most of our landfills are not engineered sites. They are just bare land where we dump all forms of waste. Some of the liquid goes under the ground. If there's a close by water body, it's going to contaminate the water body. Some of these waste get intentionally burnt at the landfill, releasing a lot of poisonous gases into the a lot of our mothers and other young people work on top of these heaps of waste in unhygienic conditions just to survive. But the thing is that the waste doesn't need to get to the landfill before people go and sort it and bring it back to the community. It's not safe for anybody. So if we segregate at source, which is in our offices, our homes and restaurants and other places, we can find a way to make sure that the waste doesn't get contaminated. Our mothers and other young people can make some better money on it without it being dirty, which is very important. So more of changing people's behavior towards waste segregation and connecting the dots for people to know where they can send it. If they want to exchange it for cash, where do they send it? If they just want to give it away, where can they take it? These things are critical. And for young people who want to start a project to make money in the sector, what can they do? How do they go about it? What's the value chain and other things I've been trying to influence people about? And within the last 5-6 years, I mean, a lot of people have come along the journey. For the Christmas tree sessions like this, we normally have over 200 volunteers joining in for the session from all over the country. And we just open it up to people and people just join and then we make the trees.
So it's all about let's start from the end, the outcomes that we could achieve. Here's a Christmas tree. There are others that we saw on the screen as well. You say you want to influence behavioral change towards waste segregation, and so you come up with these waste bins, which you've also had made from plastic bottles.
Yes.
And you come out with these school bags and these wallets, which you've had made from sachet water. And you come out with desks and park furniture, which you make from what? Isn't that wood?
So that's 100% plastic waste.
100%.
No, 100%.
The desk we are seeing, this garden furniture.
100% waste from the streets of Accra. Innovation created here in the city of Accra.
How did sachet water and yogurt peels and all the other plastics turn into this?
So there's a way you can melt plastics with at a certain heat, degree of heat.
It's not just striking a match and lighting it for it to melt.
No, that.
Okay.
Are you familiar with a glue gun?
Yep.
The silicone glue gun.
Yes, the silicone one.
So the glue stick is hard, right? You
but
put it
when
in
you put the electricity,
what happens to the glue when you put it in the gun?
It warms it.
So there's a heat chamber. So it melts, and then there is a small hole. It comes out as a molten form. Now that molten form, if you create a mold in the form of a square, and you pour the molten glue in it, and it's full. When it dries, you can remove it, and you get the shape. The similar scientific process for making the lambers from plastic waste.
Has this become really popular? Because I'm thinking that it should be easy to get in touch with assemblies and whatnot, and offer the service. It won't be free, but you can offer the service, and it can generate this massive recycling or plastic waste collection drive. Is there a conversation you've had?
Yes, so we are still having those conversations with the ministries, with the municipal assemblies and the other district assemblies. The innovation is quite new. The capacity is still being built to increase the production and make it accessible.
How many of these can you make in, say, a month, of these garden furniture?
So in terms of how much of the furniture can be made, it depends on how much resources and personnel we put to it. So we can make as many as we wish to make. The key thing is, one, being able to train artisans to understand how to work with this material. It's a bit different from wood. So some of the tools that you use to work with wood might not necessarily work with this. So we are designing training programs to train artisans.
So there are no saws and no hammers and no nails, I presume?
You can nail, no. Nail, yes. Nail, no. There's a way you go about it.
Maybe screws?
Exactly. And then you'd have to drill let's say you have to drill a hole before you now screw. You can't screw directly. It's a very hard material.
Okay.
It's harder than wood. It's more durable than wood. It won't get eaten by termites. It wouldn't get spots. Whatever is made, it stays there forever. So we are trying to make it accessible, make it available, and then we are building things from it that people can experience, so that they know that this work. Or people look at it like, okay, they are not too sure whether it's going to work, so we are doing a couple of things. We built a bus shelter at Jowlu Junction.
Saw that. Jowlu Junction, they said it's a shed, and then there are some chairs or some sitting areas that have been created under the shed. And so people who are waiting for vehicles just stand there for a few minutes, and then they wait for the vehicles to arrive. So this was made by you guys?
Yes, so that bus shelter was made from 3 tons of plastic waste.
3 tons of plastic waste.
And so there were plastic waste gallons in there, there were bottle tops in there. It had a solar power, it had a Caveman watch, which is a indigenous Ghanaian brand, and then we did some 3D printing of environmental sustainability messages, which we installed on the installation. So we're trying to create an experience for people of how sustainable communities should look like. So instead of the waste being in the gutters and causing floods, we can use it to be bus shelters and sitting areas and libraries and reading spaces where people can actually live their dreams and then go about their everyday life.
Listen, when I think about recycling, all I think about is that Coke bottle that I had as a child that got returned. And so you put the bottle back in the crate. But now plastic is doing so much more. You're talking about creating vases, and I'm seeing a vase on my screen right now. And it would not occur to you that this was solely made of plastic, because we think other types of plastic, but not the used and discarded ones. So you made this vase in particular that I'm talking about from water bottles.
Not just water bottles. So in each of the bottles, you find 70 pieces of pure water rubber. In each of the bottles, there are 12 bottles. So that's 70 times 12. So you can see how much that small vase, it looks like it's nothing, has kept a lot of plastics from the environment.
And since you started this waste segregation initiative, you've put a number of bins at Vantage Point. Tell us about that. How is that being received? Is it getting the message across?
Yeah. So when I started my project, one of the things I've worked on was to engage with the Accra Metropolitan Assembly to do some bin projects. People are saying, oh, you are saying that we shouldn't put waste on the floor, but where do we put it? So there's an issue of enabling environment. So initially we did the regular bins along the Dankwa runabout and Nkrumah runabout. There used to be these blue bins across the streets. So that was a project I implemented, and the aim was to, encourage people to do the right thing. And then I went ahead to do the bottle bins. So the thing about the Christmas trees and the bottle bins, that because people can see the bottles in the installation, it immediately changes their perspective about plastic waste and life. And it makes it easy for me, because I don't need to tell you about the bin or the tree. It speaks to you on its own, and it makes it easier for me, and it changes people. So the next time you see
the bin you saw at the roadside.
And for me, changing people's behavior along the journey, for it to be successful, you need to design solutions that can immediately impact people. You can transfer knowledge to people, but they might not necessarily use the knowledge. So when we teach children in class that they shouldn't litter and all that, they might not necessarily use that knowledge. But if you show them things that the waste can be made from, that's a more relevant way of transferring knowledge, which immediately can change their behavior. So that's the approach I've been using over the period.
And when you're talking about items that you can make from such waste, we're showing tons and tons of them on your screens. But the technology, I wonder what kind of facility you have, because we are seeing this hard, bus shelter, and it's a solid structure that's been put there. We're seeing the furniture in the garden, that's a solid structure that's been put there. But we are also seeing vases, and we're seeing slippers made from plastic. And it tells us that the technology is available. Are we embracing it? For example, your facility, what kind of support do you have to do some of these things? Are they for sale commercially, and is the public welcome to buy them?
Yes, they are for sale, and the public is welcome to buy them. When it comes to the technology, so a couple of things. As a country, we are far behind when it comes to technology. I mean, when technologies pop out, sometimes it takes like 20 or 30 years before, I mean, here we start using them. And that's one of the problems that we have. And we need to do more in terms of embracing emerging and cutting edge technology if we really want to create solutions and create jobs for young people. Some of the technologies are just existing technologies that we have repurposed. For instance, the technology I used to make the leather from the plastic which we use for the footwear and the bags is a machine that already exists, but for a different purpose, which I repurposed. Yes. So that's not what the machine is meant for. I told the machine, dude, I'm buying you for 4,000 cedis. We are going on a journey. We try this and we make it happen. And I did the experiment for 12 months and it worked out. So I started giving it out to shoemakers and bag makers. Try it out and see whether your sewing machine picks it. And then we see what we can make from it. Also similar to the lumber technology, it's a similar, as I explained with the glue gun, it's a similar system, but a more robust, more industrial, that is built here locally. Some are existing that you can even import. So the technology is there. What is lacking is for us as a country to do more to install a lot of these around so that we can process more of the plastic waste to create more of these solutions.
But surely you can't do any of this without finances. So I wonder, when NGOs think about sanitation and recycling and green initiatives, do they look your way to say, this guy is doing something exceptional and we would want to throw our weight behind him?
So not just NGOs though, but so we have a lot of organizations that have sustainability programs. Let's say if you take mining companies, if you take oil and gas companies, if you take beverage manufacturers, most of them have sustainability programs. Most of them have budgets they are allocating to partnering with organizations to create these sustainability programs. So what we do is try and target them, try and engage with them, try and share what we can do to partner with them to be able to make these things. So it's a bit difficult trying to find funding for these things because a lot of people don't think, oh, it's profitable, they don't think it's sustainable, so it's tough. But if you find the right partners who have the right mindset, you are able to come up with projects that are sustainable enough. They are willing to come along the journey, which is important. Then one other thing is that, so globally, there are grants available for environmental sustainability and climate solutions that are accessible to young people, especially if you are between 18 and 35. If you are a woman and you are living with disability, there are more opportunities for you if you are working on anything in these areas. So I have taken a course on grant proposal writing before I started winning grants. So one of the things I try to teach young people is how to figure their way around writing a pitch deck, looking for grants and then applying for them, and then what to do. So the opportunities exist, but there's you have to be equipped to be able to assess it, and we are pushing the limits to make sure that a lot more of these opportunities can be accessed by young people.
I will give you the opportunity to tell us about your organization in a little while. I just want to ask the question. When you talk about making sure that the resources are available for you to do these things, like I'm fascinated with the parks and gardens, the chairs. I think I'll just order some for my house because they are so nice. You need to get enough plastic to be able to do those things. Is it frustrating that, for example, waste collection companies put everything in the one bin? I've spoken to waste management experts and they've said that, listen, we need to educate people about segregation. But even if we get the segregation message across, if the collection just all goes into the one bin, one van, it defeats the purpose. Are you having such engagements with waste collection companies?
So we are not having the engagement with waste management companies, but we are creating our own sustainable programs for people not to put those waste in the regular bin.
So if I live on the Amasaman side of town, and my friend lives in Tema, and another one lives in Dansoman, and the other is at Weja, how do we all, get our segregated waste to you so you can pick out the ones that you need for some of the stuff you do?
Yeah. So there are a couple of drop-off locations by a couple of partner organizations in the sector. So, for instance, there are some fuel stations that are partnering with recycling companies to have containers at the station where if you're going to work, if you're going to buy fuel, you can just get down and drop your plastics in them. There are some organizations that have like plastic waste recovery community programs where they have a date where if you have plastics, you can bring it, either exchange it for cash or some gifts or just give it away. We also have a plastic waste receptacle in front of our facility in Adenta, which people in the community from their homes, offices, and hotels and restaurants use. They just pass by our facility and they just drop it off in the facility. It's important for us to have a lot more. One key way to be able to figure this out is for the municipal assemblies who normally have space. The municipal assembly, most of them have space. They should be able to dedicate a bit of their space for waste drop-offs in the communities. So if you live in Adenta, it shouldn't be stressful for you to find your way to the assembly office and just drop off your waste. They can get some women who are not working to be sorting the waste, and then it can be passed on to recycling companies in exchange for cash, and they can use some of the cash to pay the women and use the rest to continue running the program. Then we can create mobile apps, like just the ride-sharing apps, like Uber, like Bolt. So if I take the app and I open it, I'll be able to see there's a drop-off location 2 minutes away from me, so that I can access that. So in doing all these things, we make it easier for people to separate their waste because they know that if they separate it, there's a place they can take it. But the challenge is people say, they'll call me, in Nungwa, and the person wants me to come to Nungwa to come and collect it. I say, I'm in Adenta. Yeah, in Nungwa, you have 2 bags of waste. The 2 bags is not even worth 4 cedis. And I'm supposed to drive my truck to Adenta and back. It's not sustainable. So it's a bit challenging, but I mean, we do our best to show people what they can do.
But surely we can see the opportunities in there. We can see the potential for having even a driver on either side of town to go around picking these waste bottles. If the person moved from house to house, even in one community, the amount of plastic waste they may be able to collect in the day, that's employment for that person. That's buying fuel, which taxes on there go back to, and it's like a whole cycle. So you have a master class. You talked about making sure that we have the skills to be able to take advantage of these opportunities and even realize the potential that these things could offer to us. Tell us about those classes.
Right. So one of the things I'm doing this year is to transfer a lot of knowledge I've acquired and developed over the years to other people, because I feel like I can solve some of the problems, I cannot solve all of them. I can motivate and encourage other people to go along and solve the ones I cannot solve. So I've designed this master class that allows for young people and teachers and people in communities to learn about how to start a project or a business in the sector. What opportunities are there in the value chain? What are the dynamics of, if you want to say aggregate plastics and be selling, what are the dynamics? How much is a kilo of bottles? How much is a kilo of pure water? What's the best way to go about it? Who is buying? At what price? Where do you find them? How do you sort? Some people buy just the bottle tops. It comes at a different value. Some people just buy the blue water bottles. Some people can also buy the colored drink bottles. So there are a lot of dynamics to this. If you want to start which will probably be an NGO, how does that work? Where do you find grants? There are a lot of grants that support this program. Where do you find this? If you want to start a program where you want to make products from the waste, what can you make? That are people willing to buy? Where is the market? How much are people willing to buy it? So, and then what tools do you use to work with let's say if you're a teacher, you want to teach your kids in the school about recycling and upcycling. What are the basic tools you need? What can you create that is sustainable, that is relevant? And then when it comes to grants, where do you find the grants? How do you apply? So I'm trying to transfer a lot of this knowledge to empower as many people as possible.
How often is this happening, this masterclass?
So the first one is happening next week at Academic City University College on the 15th. That's Wednesday. If you go to the Academic City Facebook page, there's a flyer there concerning the workshop. We are trying to do one every quarter so that as many people as possible can access it. So at Academic City University, we have a maker space where we have the infrastructure, we have the tools, we have the machines, and then we have the expertise to run these workshops. So it's like a practical workshop.
How long is it for?
This one is going to be for a period of 3 to 4 hours. So you're going to come there, you have bottles, and you're going to create some of the things you see on the screen. We are going to teach people to create them. So we're going to teach you how to create a table from a car tie, how to make a pencil case from a bottle, how to make a lotion container from a bottle, how to make earrings from plastic sheets and all that. And the aim is to empower people to generate some revenue from the waste. Because it's one thing to tell people don't pollute, but then if people are hungry, they don't care.
Yep.
If you create a better opportunity where they can make money, somebody thinks that I have a restaurant, I have a lot of waste generated, and there's an old woman living by my restaurant. She has a space. You can empower that old woman, but we can empower her by
buying from her,
or getting some of our other partners to be buying from her.
How can people reach you, McCaffrey, before we dash out of here?
So people can reach me on 0243 54 84 78, or they can also reach me on Macintosh Africa pages, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter.
So here you've heard it, and I would want us to have a look at the people that McCaffrey has met on this journey of using waste and turning it into a resource. He's met then Prince of Wales, now King Charles III of England. He's met other government functionaries. He's an Obama fellow, so you know that he has the clout. And he's doing all these things to empower young people to realize the potential that exists in using trash and turning it into cash. He's a sterling example of what we can achieve if we put our minds to it. And all his friends, Achu and Achupi, and all the rest from the Jolali clan are sending their love to you. Pearl and Achu, they said they love you so much. And we're proud of you. Keep making us proud. And we hope that you achieve this vision of turning trash into cash. We like the cash bit. We don't like the trash, but the cash.
The cash is very important.
So we'll bring you the trash and take cash.
I know, right?
Mark, the very best to you. I'm sure we'll have you back again when there's more to share. Very grateful. McCaffrey Awuku is an innovator, he's an artist, he's a poet, he's an environmentalist, and he is with the Entrepreneurship, Technology and Entrepreneurship Center Manager at Academic City University. He's on a drive to recycle and to reuse the things we call waste and to turn them into cash. He's making so many items that you could find useful, from bags to furniture to pencil cases and whatnot. A masterclass up next week at the Academic City. Connect with their Facebook page for more details. It's happening once every quarter, and you can reach him 0243 548 7478, 0243 548 478, and you can also reach him via all the social media platforms on Macintosh Africa. This is GTV Breakfast. We'll be back after this break. There's more to expect, especially in the Love Corner.